Okay, let's just dive right into it. If you've ever tried to convince a friend or family member to switch to an open source operating system, you know it is a massive uphill battle. Today, we're jumping into this explainer to look at PP4MNK EasyOS, and specifically, we're focusing on an incredibly ambitious initiative called the FNP Project. FNP stands for Normal People, and we're going to explore exactly how this project plans to completely level that hill for everyday users.
So, let's start with a really big question. One that honestly kind of haunts open source advocates. Why are normal people so afraid of trying a new operating system? I mean, we all know the benefits, right? Open source systems generally give you way better security. They can literally breathe new life into an ancient, dusty laptop, and they offer incredible speed. And yet, despite all those massive advantages, adoption by your average, everyday computer user is still incredibly low. There's this deep-seated fear. But where does that fear actually come from?
Well, the core thesis of the FNP project really hits the nail on the head, and it can be summed up in this one powerful quote. Linux does not fail because it is difficult. It fails because it is intimidating. Think about that. That's a huge distinction. The barrier for everyday users isn't the day-to-day use of the software itself. Clicking a web browser icon is exactly the same whether you're on Mac, Windows, or Linux. The real barrier is pure, unadulterated intimidation during that initial setup and onboarding process. Just imagine being a regular user who just wants to check their email, and suddenly you're hit with this wall of technical clutter. You're being asked to configure weird Linux partitions, navigate ext4 file systems, or figure out if you need UEFI or legacy BIOS. To a normal person, it sounds like you're asking them to hack into a government mainframe. It's completely overwhelming. The absolute genius of the FNP project is their ironclad guarantee that a normal user will absolutely never have to see any of these terms.
Which brings us to Section 1, the Zero Fear Philosophy.
Their entire solution is built around a really simple concept, giving users that familiar Windows feel, but supercharged with Linux speed, and, most importantly, absolutely zero fear. The whole goal is to make the experience as easy as Windows with literally no complications. They want a user to go through the process feeling totally relaxed, just thinking, okay, I just click next, and hey, it works.
And here is how they pull that off, by swapping out all that intimidating terminology for plain, everyday human language. The installer is actively reassuring the user. Instead of throwing up a scary red alert prompt like create ext4 partition, it just calmly says preparing space for EasyOS. Instead of install bootloader, it tells you it's preparing your computer startup. It's a subtle psychological shift, but it makes the user feel safe and in control.
Now let's move right along to Section 2, the Universal Windows Installer.
This is where things get really cool. The installation is designed to be a completely seamless, frictionless journey straight from Windows 10 or 11. The user literally just downloads a single .exe file while they're still in Windows. They double-click it exactly like they would to install any regular everyday app. They click one big friendly button that says Easy Installation, and then they just restart their computer. That's the whole shebang. They're installing a whole new OS alongside Windows without ever once touching a manual partition or looking at a terrifying disk management screen.
But here's the magic. While the user is just sitting there enjoying these simple, comforting prompts, the installer is doing some incredible heavy lifting behind the scenes. When they click Easy Installation, the system secretly auto-downloads EasyOS Excalibur and Rufus Portable. When it says preparing space, it's actually automatically and safely carving out exactly 40 gigabytes. And almost done? That means it's invisibly formatting an ext4 setup and perfectly configuring secure boot entries. You get all the technical benefits with zero cognitive load.
Let's look at what happens after that reboot in Section 3, a familiar desktop experience. Once they boot up, users are dropped into a highly customized, instantly familiar XFCE desktop environment. It has a very Windows-like visual theme, your standard taskbar at the bottom, and a simple start menu with big, friendly icons. It completely strips away any technical clutter. Plus, right out of the box, it's preloaded with the stuff normal users actually use every day: a web browser, WhatsApp Web, LibreOffice, simple photo and video viewers, and built-in tools for printers, scanners, and backups. It is 100% ready to go from minute one.
Now, this next part is where this operating system truly shines for absolute beginners. It's a massive claim, but the FNP project is quite literally designed to be impossible to break.
I know, or no way, right? How can they make a claim like that?
Well, it's because EasyOS uses what's called a RAM and read-only frugal architecture. Basically, it's exactly like this. The core of the operating system is locked down in a vault. If a user accidentally deletes a vital file, clicks a shady link, or just completely messes something up, they don't have to panic and call their IT relative at 2 in the morning. They simply hit a Restore System button, and everything instantly snaps back to its clean, original state. Having that ultimate safety net, for a normal user, that is a total game changer. It means they can actually explore their computer without fear.
So where is this all heading? Let's check out Section 4, the FNP Project Roadmap.
The project has this really clear 5-phase evolution mapped out. Phase 1 is all about an installable MVP, proving anyone can install it. Phase 2 refines that familiar Windows 10 visual experience and the apps. Phase 3 perfects that amazing one-click recovery we just talked about. Phase 4 gets incredibly ambitious. They're talking about introducing an AI helper. Imagine just typing, "Hey, I can't find my vacation photos," and the system just finds them for you. And finally, Phase 5 aims to lock in portable USB options and a totally flawless Windows executable installer. They're literally attacking the historical friction of open-source adoption at every single level.
So to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. By systematically identifying and removing every single intimidation factor, from the jargon to the installation process, right down to providing an unbreakable safety net, has the FNP project actually cracked the code? Have they finally created the first open-source operating system that absolutely anyone can install without having to ask for help? It is a genuinely fascinating approach, and honestly, one that just might change the landscape of personal computing forever. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I definitely recommend keeping a close eye on where this project goes next.